Hey there and happy Friday. Sorry I'm a few minutes late coming on here live. I just needed to scramble to get people out the door and there was some noise going on and I wanted things a little bit quieter. It almost sounded like somebody was practicing French horn, and then I realized my husband was doing a project in the basement bedroom underneath me, and I'm like, what is that noise? So got him out the door, and yeah, coming to you a little bit later. We had a great funeral for a dear uncle of mine today, this afternoon, and so just got to spend some good time with family doing that. So I'm kind of doing another evening edition again this week for you guys, but it seems like a lot of people jump on when it's in the evening. Hi, Carol. Hi, Brenda. Hey, Lisa. Hi, Pam. So I am doing kind of a simpler card, but hoping to teach you guys, or if it's not a new technique, just kind of going over a technique that you've probably learned in the past, Emboss Resist. And so here's my card number 3 for December's stack of 10 cards, and the light might catch this and make it easier to read too as we get going, and of course once I get my camera turned around it'll be easier too. Hi there, Lois, good to see you on here. Let me get my camera moved here and down. And I'm still struggling. Hopefully my voice will last through here. Had to take another nap today, but that's what my body needs as I fight this thing, and that is just so tight in my chest. So hopefully I get through it. Hey there, Lois. Good to have you on here. All right, let me get my camera here. So like I said, kind of a basic card, but I love, like I said, when I started stamping before I signed up with Stampin' Up, I loved the whole concept of embossing. There we go. We're catching some of that in the light there. And so this is going to be an Emboss Resist technique that I'm going to show you. So I'll set aside this sample of a card, and I was really torn. I had all these different papers out, and I'm like, you know what, I'll show you one and then give you a couple other options as I go, as far as using another pretty paper too. So the stamp set that I am highlighting is from the mini catalog here, the mini catalog, and that's on page 62, and that is the Thinking, Thanks, and Peace, and that is retiring. So if you get out your retiring list, or if you've been looking at that on my page here on my Facebook page, you can see that that is retiring on page 62, and I'm just going to double check. I don't see that it's on sale. Sometimes things like that are on sale. So that is on the last chance list. I love the big thinking of you. A lot of you had requested, oh, I wish Stampin' Up! Would come up with a big thinking of you, and there it is. Hey there, Deb. Good to have you on here watching. And then for the inside, I'll be using For Unto Us, which is also a retiring stamp set. One of my favorite Christmas stamp sets. You'll probably never see me put this on any kind of retiring sale when I get rid of different stamp sets and such, because I just love all the different fonts, all the wording in this stamp set, and that's on page 41 of the mini catalog. And like I said, so that one's retiring too. It was in last year's catalog, and they actually brought it back to this winter, or excuse me, holiday catalog. So those are the two stamp sets that I'm using. And so for paper, on this sample here, I'm just using some of that pattern paper that's in the annual catalog from the In Colors. So, you know, you'll see the Fresh Freesia, Pale Papaya, all of those in here. And it's got some great patterns, and I think this just kind of looks Christmassy too. I chose the back side of this. It just kind of looks like Christmas paper, and I love kind of this plaid look. So that's kind of where I started. And then I'm like, you know what? There's some other really fantastic evening evergreen. That's kind of the shade that I wanted to go with. And this is so pretty, and this is so pretty. And even the back side of this looks really nice too for evening evergreen. And that's coming from the 6x6 Tidings of Christmas that I just used earlier this week. So if you remember my little cute bundled up penguin, that's from this Tidings of Christmas 6x6. So that's where that's coming from. So I'm gonna put maybe you guys can type in the comments if you want me to put my piece on earth once I get that technique down to show you if you want it on the white pretty paper or the dark pretty paper. So you can let me know that, because I've got both of those and I won't be ready to get to that for a little bit, so you can think it over. But let me get started on this Emboss Resist technique to show you guys. So I just have a strip of white paper here, and here's my stamp. It's a big stamp, and my Versamark pad. Hey there, Kay, thank you for sharing. And oops, I'm gonna try and get my comments up, and Barb's joining me too. Sometimes my comments come up and then they disappear, and I don't know why they disappear. I want to see questions, and I want to see what kind of light or dark background you want to see on the card that I'm making. So because it's a bigger stamp, then I just usually set that down, and then I find it's easier to tap my ink on, and then I know that it's well covered. And then with that, I'm just going to stamp that directly down on some basic white cardstock here. And because it's clear Versamark ink and my paper's white, you're not going to really see too much. And then it's not going to get too much better first, because I'm going to take white embossing powder. So white on white with clear is still going to look pretty invisible here. Just want to make sure I get a really good amount of embossing powder on there, and that looks good. Kind of, I can see if I get it in the light the right way. You guys probably see nothing. It's kind of like a snowstorm in December. There we go. Maybe you can kind of see that. So that's what that is going on there. And then I'm going to heat it up here like so. Hi Fern, thanks for joining in. So as I heat this, you're not going to really see any kind of pop. Like yesterday I did embossing, and so you're probably like, oh my goodness, she's embossing again. But, oh, I see a little bit of powder there. But like I said, when it's Christmas time, I love getting out my embossing powders, my heat tool, and just adding special touches, making the cards look a little bit extra special. So as that heats up, maybe you can see the shininess, even if you can't really read it too much. But what I want on there is for that to heat up, raise up, and get shiny white. So I have achieved that. There we go. So now you can just kind of see the shimmer of white on white, and then I'm just going to kind of wave it around, because the next thing I want to do is run it through my cut and emboss machine, and I don't want it to be sticky, because then it'll obviously stick to my cutting pad. So the dies that I'm going to use to cut that out excuse me, is the seasonal labels dies, and this is that Christmas set from the holiday catalog, and it goes, you know, kind of with actually a couple of the different stamp sets because of that suite of products. So lots of frames in this die set, and I'm using the very largest one, which of course I have to do because this is a really large sentiment or greeting here. And I kind of feel like I'm making a card with invisible ink for you guys. So you probably can't even see my piece on earth and my dove quite yet as I load that onto my cut and emboss sandwich here and run it through. But it will get better. Okay, so I think this is just such a pretty cutout for this sentiment too here. It just frames it really well. And let me grab some scratch paper here. Here we go. And you can tell I've done some of my blending brushes before. So I'm going to get out my blending brushes. Hey there, Beth. Had a good afternoon with you. Came home and took a nap. I feel a little bit better, but still just tired. Okay, so I'm going to grab my blending brush here and my Evening Evergreen ink pad. Open that up. And so what I want to do is kind of an ombre look, going darker to lighter. So what I'm going to do is do like a counterclockwise motion here, just picking up that Evening Evergreen ink with my blending brush. And I'll start off to the side so that I don't get a big chunk of ink where I don't want it, and I'll have more control. And then as it hits the edges, then it'll give us that darker look, and I'll just kind of work my way up. So it'll eventually just be lighter, and I'll just keep kind of doing that until I have achieved a look that's darker on the bottom and then lighter on the top. So I don't want to add hardly anything to the top too much, but I want to make sure and add a nice layer of darker ink on the bottom. And even now it just kind of is like, oh, you know, not too clear on the sentiment there, but what I do after I've got the ink on, and that's all that I want to put on for ink. Like I said, I wanted it to be lighter on the top and darker on the bottom. Actually, I'm going to do just a little smudge more on the bottom to get that nice and dark, because I think that's going to give it a better effect overall. Okay, just that little bit. So that's when I just grab, oh yes, okay, Lisa, that's a great question. So Lisa's asking if you can just wash these out and use a different color. Absolutely. So I do that all the time. So that's when I picked this one up. You can see it probably had a lot more blue look to it than the Evening Evergreen that I'm adding. And I just run them underneath my kitchen or bathroom sink and just kind of run my fingers through the bristles until the water runs really clear. Dry it out overnight or for a day, and then it's good to go again. So some people like to use their blends a lot and don't want to have downtime with the washing and the drying of it, because I just air dry it. So they like to buy more than one set for that. But I just will use it, wash it, and it's good to go again. If it looks stained, that doesn't mean that it's going to transfer that color onto your ink pad for your next project. So great question. So now I want to make my sentiment pop a lot more. So I'm just going to lay this down and take a Kleenex, just a regular Kleenex or even a soft towel or hand towel or something. And you can see as I wipe this ink off that it just takes off any of the ink, and this is called Emboss Resist. So when I put all of the ink on, it was on top of my embossed Peace on Earth and Dove, and then as I wipe that off, all the ink still sticks and stays on the cardstock, but now it resists wherever that is. So now we have a nice pop of white, which is a really fun technique, and I don't use that very often with you guys. And this is kind of also the joy of doing Facebook Live. If I were to do this as a stamp camp in person, and you know me having 10 stations set up and having you guys kind of on your own, you might be like flustered or like help Belle. So this is a good way that I can get in front of you guys and teach a technique. So we have that, and I haven't seen anybody respond if they want me to use light or dark. Maybe I just need to put it on. So here's the light version here, which I think looks really pretty, and actually I'll kind of put it at an angle like so. And then here is the darker one like so, and I think that really pops too. Lisa says dark, please. I love it. Well, I think I might go with that one because I'm ready to put it on, and it's yeah, time to do that, and I'm not gonna like waste your time. It's Friday night. So let me just get some seal adhesive going here, and I'll tack that down here like so. And now for ribbon, I've been using this a lot. It's not just Christmas, it is, here we go. It is the Evening Evergreen. Like I said, that's kind of the theme that I'm going with. Kay likes the dark too. So Evening Evergreen card base, and it's opening, folding this way, 5.5 by 4 1/4, and then this piece is 4 inches by 5 1/4, cut out of that 6 by 6. And then this is the Evening Evergreen open weave ribbon. This is so pretty, guys, because it's got the nice Evening Evergreen edges, and then just that sheer center that makes it look so pretty. Love it. So I'm just going to wrap this around. I kind of want that ribbon on first so I know what I have left for space for my big sentiment of the die cut. So I'll just tie that down in my usual knot. Nothing fancy, no fancy bows, not even for Christmas, guys. I am so no fancy bows that Christmas hardly even gets a bow. Okay, so let me just chop that off like so. And oh, Brenda likes the light. Oh, and Maybe, you know, in your card set, Brenda, I will put a light one in there for you. I will try to remember that. I kind of have a weird, strange memory. So if you get that and it's light, you'll be like, oh, Belle does have a weird memory that she would remember that. Thank you, Lois. So now I'm just going to flip this over and get some dimensionals on there to pop that up. So this being a bigger die, I'm going to get at least 6, probably 7 of these dimensionals, one in the middle. And I know some of you would be like, way too skimpy. Let's put at least a dozen more on there so it really pops up. But I kind of want it to have some cushion because I'm going to add some embellishments to it. So if it kind of has some give and cushion for going through the mail system, it'll be a little bit more forgiving too. And I think just putting it at the angle just makes that dove just seem to take flight a little bit more than just having it horizontal with the card. But I just love, like I said, what a simple layout, but what a fun technique to really give it some depth with color and everything too. Hi there, Donna. Thanks for joining in. So next I want to add my embellishment, and these are also retiring, and I love these. They're from the mini catalog, the matte decorative dots, and a nice variety for Christmas. It matches that sweet stockings and all the cute pet paper stamps and dies. And this has on the bottom the evening evergreen. And what is so fun about this is that this is ombre too, from darker to lighter. So I can kind of follow along with that same theme by going with a darker matte dot and then kind of picking one that's kind of in the middle for color, and just putting that kind of in the middle where that color is going to be. And I'm going to take a tiny dot that's the lightest color yet and just kind of put that up at the top. So following through with that same ombre look of dark to light going on up. Hi there, Julie. So yeah, I just love that technique, and I probably need to use it more because it's something that doesn't have to be just for Christmas to do that Emboss Resist. But let me finish with the inside here too, and that's where I pull in that other stamp set for Unto Us, and it has so many great sayings. And what I love too is just that little star, and I often just add that every time I use one of the sentiments. And so I'm just gonna take a 4 by 5 1/4 piece of basic white and ink up Glory to the Newborn King, a great Christmas sentiment here in my evening evergreen. And then that little tiny shining star there, he's gonna get some evening evergreen too, just like so. So it just kind of frames that sentiment in there perfectly. The two look like they were kind of just meant to go together in a perfect little image for all the Christmas sentiments. So have that going, and then I can just put some adhesive here, and I'll get that going in the inside, and that's all I'm going to do for the inside. If you wanted to go all out, you could actually put your sentiment in embossed in white too, and then do the blending brushes to have that same effect to transfer over too. Oh, and that's so fun too. Yeah, there's a hint of blue in this card, Lisa. And actually there's another card that I kind of was getting some inspiration from that had Hark the Herald Angels, and I saw it on Pinterest, and they had cut this out in a rectangle stitched die, and then did the same. It wasn't embossed, maybe it was Emboss Resist, but it was done in blue from light to dark in ombre too. So but yeah, there's a hint of blue. Lisa and I always joke around because blue is our favorite color, and so anytime a card has blue, we just like the card no matter what it looks like because it's blue. And I know there's a lot of you that like that. So here you can see the two different designs, and depending on how many cards I do, based on who all wants cards this month and who's all ordering and such, you might get this one from me, you might get this one, and hopefully I remember to give Brenda her card with this white background too. So it's just fun how different it can look just with the different pattern paper in the background too. So yeah, and Lisa, I'll get that to you. Thank you, Pam. So that is it for tonight's card. So there we go. I was kind of debating as as I spent time with family at the funeral this afternoon, I'm like, oh, I wonder if I'll have time. I just wanted to enjoy family as much as I could, and I am still very run down. And then when my husband decided to go off to a basketball game, I'm like, you know what? I have time to do a card then, because the house will be quiet, and otherwise I'll probably just fall asleep again. So I hope you guys have a great weekend. I will be back with you with project number 4 on Monday, and that will be another Christmas card. Like I said, I wanted to get all of my 5 Christmas cards, 5 out of the 10 to be Christmas, and I wanted to get those 5 out first, so that you'd have those ideas if there's anything you wanted to copy for your holiday designs and projects. And then the 6 through 10 cards, those other 5 cards will be more all occasions, so that way you know what to look for. So hopefully you guys have a good weekend. Thanks for tuning in on Friday night. Hi there, Marilyn, and we'll see you again on Monday. Take care.